Welcome, who is ready to talk about eyebrows and watch a tutorial of how I do my brows. All the products that I share with you today will be in the description box below as well as on the corresponding blog post. Before we get started with the products and tutorial, let me share a little bit about my brows. Growing up, I had really nice brows. They weren't Brooke Shield brows, but they were nice. During my teen years, I did start to have them waxed. I really didn't do a lot of tweezing because if you're a waxer, tweezing in between can compromise the waxing outcome. When the 90s hit and everyone was over tweezing their brows, I didn't do that. I was someone who tended to be a little bit late to the party. So when something is generally all the rage, I don't dive right in. And in that case, it really served me because I never fell prey to the hype of over tweezing. But I will say that as we get older, or at least for myself, my brows have thinned out. I don't have the beautiful bushy brows that I had as a child. I don't know if that's as a result of waxing, but the point is they just are not as full as they once were. About 15 years ago, when I did laser hair removal to several areas of my body, including my face, I did have laser hair removal done between right here where we get those 11s, those lines. I had it done there and then on the top. They could not laser underneath the brow because it is too close to the eye. Had great results with that. Had about 6 treatments, so I don't have too much hair growth in the center part or above my brows as a result of having the laser hair removal. A couple of years ago, I tapped into microblading, and I cannot say that I am someone who felt that microblading was for me. Many people love their results, and it's not that my results disappointed me. It's I use active ingredients on my face for my AM and PM skincare routine, and it is so hard to avoid the brow area when you are applying these products, and I believe that my microblading or tattooing of the brows faded over time. So it was a great learning lesson. It is not something that I look to do in the future just because I didn't have long-term results that I was looking for. And there is some upkeep, but mine faded relatively fast. My mom had her eyebrows microbladed at the same time and hers look great, but she doesn't use all of the active ingredient skincare products on her face that I do. So everyone is going to be different. Also, when it comes to filling in our brows, we all have a different preference. I actually believe that many girls and women shade their brows in too dark and they don't look natural, but everyone has their own personal preference. The most important thing when it comes to filling in your brows is that you like the outcome, that you are happy with how they look. It really does not matter what other people think. If you're happy with them, I would stick to what you're doing. I don't have perfect brows, but I don't have a goal to have perfect brows. I don't think brows should be completely perfect. I just believe in general they're not going to be, but I'd like them to at least look like they're related. So they may not be twins, but they're sisters. I don't want them to be cousins. Sisters would be great, but they're probably not going to be twins, and I'm okay with that. Again, they're not perfect, but I'm happy with them, and I just thought I would share with you today what I use and how I fill them in. So let's talk about the products first. To achieve the look that I go after for my brows, I use 3 tools and 2 products. You are going to need the Tweezerman mini slant tweezers, and I do believe that these are the best. I've tried other tweezers and I love the Tweezerman and I prefer the mini. To me, they're easier to work with. You will also need a mustache trimmer. This is very pointy. There's no curve to this, so I believe it's called a mustache trimmer. Not really sure, but again, it will be linked in the description box. Love this dual-ended brush with spoolie by Makeup Forever. This is number 274 double-ended eyeshadow brush. You have two options with your eyebrow pencil, and I love this because it's retractable. So both of them that I am going to share are retractable, which is really important to me. They are also very fine, so it's a very, very thin, tiny pencil so that you can really define. Maybelline has a dupe for these. I don't know if they still carry it. If they do, I will have it in the description box below. All of my girls used the Maybelline one during high school because it was affordable, and plus they had great shades. So if it's available, I will link it. But the two that I want to share is the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. I use shade 3.5. You are going to want to look for the shade that works for you. Make sure you are knowledgeable about undertones. If you're a warm undertone, you will want to attempt to stick with warm tone eyeshadow products. If you're cool tone, you will want to stick with the cooler shades. This 3.5 is neutral medium brown. I do have dark brown hair, but I don't like when brows are too prominent. So I go with a little bit softer shade. I prefer to use a medium brown versus a dark brown. The other pencil is the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I use shade medium brown in that pencil, and that is for medium brown hair with cool or ash undertones. So either work great for me. Really the only difference between the two pencils is one is $24, I believe that's the Benefit, and I believe the Anastasia is $23. So pick your poison. I'm going to assume that all of the shades are the same, but I would say if you can't find a shade that works for you in one, go with the other brand. The last product that I want to share is also by Anastasia. It is their Brow Powder Duo. Now, I do use this in dark brown, which is actually more of a warm tone, although it doesn't look warm. It's really strange because when I look at it, it looks like cool undertones, so it works for me, and I do use both shades as you can see in the pan. You can see I've hit pan, but you can see that I do use both the shades. If you look on, let's say, the Sephora site, it will say that this color is, this dark brown is for medium brown hair with warm undertones, but again, I don't pick up warm in this, I pick up cool tones. It works, so I stick with it. So there's your tools and products. Now let's put them to use in a tutorial of how I do my brows. I do any tweezing or trimming prior to filling in my brows. Ironically, when I went to fill in my brows with my Benefit Precisely My Brow, the pencil was empty. That is something that you need to pay attention to with retractable pencils because you can't see when they are going to run out. So you always need to have a backup. I generally have at least two on hand just in case that happens. You don't want to get one brow done and not be able to do the other. I use the pencil to outline just the bottom of my brow, as you can see here. That is really the only thing that I use the pencil for, unless I need to fill in a little bare spot, because I feel like a pencil is more bold than using a powder. When using the brow powder, I use both shades, the darker and the lighter. I probably use a little bit more of the lighter, as you can see, but I dip my slanted brush into both of them and then always tap off the excess. I take the slanted brush and I trace over the line that I did with the Precisely My Brow, the pencil. I trace over that because I want to soften it. And then I take my brush and, going in an upward stroke or slightly at an angle, I go up and outward, as you can see. So it's really making all of those strokes. That keeps the brows looking a little bit more natural, which is something that I prefer. Again, you have to do what makes you happy when it comes to your brows. When I got to the right side, I did some trimming, but my camera was not coming in focus. But it's basically the same thing. I define the lower part of the brow with a pencil, then I take my dual-ended brush, tap it into both colors, and then the same thing, upward and outward strokes so it looks like real hairlines. When I am done, I always take the spoolie that is at the other end and I brush upward just to make sure that it fills in properly. To highlight my brow bone or the brow highlight, I always use a vanilla shade and it needs to be matte. You don't want to use shimmer as you get older, well, unless you prefer, but I always use a vanilla shade. Don't be choosy. You can even use a matte highlight that you would use on your face. There you have it, a brow tutorial and also sharing the products and tools that I use. Don't forget, all of the items will be linked in the description box below as well as on the corresponding blog post. Let me know what other beauty videos you would like me to share here on YouTube. Also, don't forget, this coming Saturday is week 3 for our October weight loss or weight maintenance challenge. This Saturday, October 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be live in the Zoom classroom to talk about the schedule. Last weekend we talked about exercise, and the Saturday before that we talked about diet. We have 2 weeks beyond this Saturday because there's 5 Saturdays in the month of October. If you haven't registered for this Saturday's class where we talk about managing the schedule so you can stay on top of your big, hairy, audacious goal for October, the link will be in the description box. Hope to see you there. Thank you for joining me. Take care.